The worst has come true for Pixar. The film did even worse than what early predictions had expected of it. This was the worst opening weekend for a Pixar film ever. That crown is now worn by Elemental. According to the numbers, the film grossed 29.5 million at the domestic box office and another 15 million internationally for an absolutely catastrophic, I cannot overstate that, catastrophic global opening of 44.5 million. So if you recall, in my previous video, we talked about the absolutely abysmal predictions that the film had. Box Office Pro back in May predicted it would make between 28 million and 39 million. However, the outlet would later claim the film would gross between 31 million and 41 million. And then they specifically noted that the film would earn 33 million, or they predicted the film would earn 33 million. Variety would go on to report that the film would gross 35 million. None of them got it right. 29.5 million. I guess the long range prediction for Box Office Pro was the closest. They did have 28 million on the low end. However, they had 39 million on the high end. So you kind of pick between that there, probably around 34 as the mid ground is probably what they were expecting when they put that range out. But 29.5 million, absolutely catastrophic for Pixar. And like I said, it is the worst opening in the entire studio's history. The only film that it does beat without factoring in inflation is Toy Story, which released back in 1995. That film grossed 29.1 million. If you do a simple inflation calculation, that comes to around 58.1 million in today's dollars. So if you even if you factor in inflation, it doesn't actually beat Toy Story, making it the worst opening weekend ever. The other films that it was kind of close in the runnings with, based on the projections, was Onward, which came out in March 2020, right before the pandemic crisis occurred that shut down theaters across the country. And then, and that film made 39.1 million its opening weekend. And then you had The Good Dinosaur that also had an opening weekend of 39.1 million in 2015. Ratatouille opened with a 47 million opening weekend in 2007. And then last year's Lightyear had an opening of 50.5 million. So two of the worst performing films in Pixar's history have come in the last 2 years. The studio looks like it is on a downward trend and does not look to be recovering anytime soon. We even had this analysis from fellow YouTuber and Disney Scooper and analyst WDW Pro. He speculates that something like half the audience going to see Elemental versus the previous worst situation that Pixar faced, The Good Dinosaur. So basically what he's saying there is that he thinks that the audience was cut in half compared to that of what went to see The Good Dinosaur. He made that observation based on a calculation he did looking at the average ticket price for films in 2015 when The Good Dinosaur released and the ticket prices today, and looking at those inflation numbers. So we'll find out how many tickets are sold, because the numbers does give us this usually at the end of the film's domestic run. So we'll be able to see that when we get some more data on that, on how many tickets have been sold for that film and how much the audience has fallen off from Pixar films. What is interesting, though, is that the film, or the studio's president, Pete Docter, he's the Pixar president, Pixar boss. He's already kind of making excuses before the film even released. He told Variety, in the long run, there's been a bit of a mixed blessing releasing movies to Disney Plus, because we've trained audiences that these films will be available for you on Disney Plus. It's kind of weird that these people think that they can train you like a dog, but they totally do think that. And we've seen Bob Iger say publicly that he thinks he's the arbiter of what is right and wrong, because he's paid a lot of money to figure that out. And now we've got Pete Docter here thinking that he's trained audiences to watch Pixar films on Disney Plus. I think that's an absolutely bogus claim, even with the insult in there, given the fact that you have films like Top Gun Maverick that did over 700,000 at the box office domestically by itself, just absolutely crushing it. There's plenty of other films out there that have done really well at the box office when those studios were also releasing similar type films on their streaming services during the pandemic. So this is absolutely garbage excuse. And I just don't believe it. And then, I mean, here he says it's more expensive for a family of four to go to a theater when they know they can wait and it'll come out on the platform. Well, tell that to the Super Mario Brothers movie that just came out earlier this year. Again, these just look like all excuses to try and like cover for the film's absolutely abysmal failure. And there's probably a number of reasons for that here. Obviously, Disney's reputation, Pixar's reputation, I would. There's probably something to say for ticket prices, but again, Super Mario Brothers, plenty of people were going to see that. Similar ticket prices there, but I would assume it has more to do with the way this film was marketed, Disney's reputation among moviegoers now, and Pixar's reputation among moviegoers now. Parents are not sure that they don't think that Disney is safe to take their kids to anymore because this company has made it very clear they are going to indoctrinate your children and try and indoctrinate you as well. I mean, this guy here is saying that they've trained audiences, so you don't think that they're not trying to do that either. I mean, just sickening. So I'm actually glad that this film did absolutely terrible in its opening weekend and is going to lose lots of money. That is justice.